Hi, friends. Welcome back. Today, I just wanted to have a little chat. So, I want to talk about distractions and lack of focus, and actually how reading can help us get that back. Reading can help our mental health, it can help us build creativity and critical thinking skills, and just overall help with our mental health. But I'm also going to talk about how to improve our reading in this video, too. So, like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and let's get started. So, with all of this talk in the news recently about how people are reading less, it's really gotten me hyper focused on myself and the distractions that happen in my own life. I started noticing this when I was at work, actually, yesterday. I realized I kept pulling out my phone to look at it without any kind of reason to look at my phone. So I would be in between patients. I work at a veterinary hospital, and I find myself pulling out my phone and looking at it. A notification didn't go off. I just felt drawn to look at my phone. Then I noticed when I came home, I sat down to have dinner and watch a little bit of TV, a show that I'm actively binge watching because I love it. But I can't just watch the TV and eat dinner. I have to also play a game on my phone. So I think I'm paying attention to the TV, but I'm playing a game. And if I look away from the game for too long to focus on the TV, I will lose the round. But if I look at the phone too long to play the game, then I miss something on TV. So I'm not actually paying as close of attention as I think I am. And then it comes time to go to bed, and I turn on an audiobook because I can't lay there and just go to sleep. I have to have a distraction from my own thoughts in order to go to sleep. And it's no wonder because there's distractions everywhere. So if we think about it, people will blame their phones and they'll say, I just need to be more disciplined and get off my phone. That's not going to help entirely because that's not the whole problem. If you're at work and you're getting constant email interruptions, that's a distraction. Yes, the phone can be a distraction because it's our source of text messages, but it's also a source of our news. And the news is a whole separate thing because we have breaking news coming up all day long. Have you tried to follow the news? It's not as easy as you think. In the past, following the news and being well informed meant reading a newspaper every day. You would just get it. It would be a story. It would be very linear, beginning, middle, end of what happened, edited and condensed by somebody who followed all the breaking information. Now, all the breaking information comes straight to us. So if you just pick up a story, you almost feel like you're thrown into the middle of it. All right, let's connect all this back into reading. When I think about myself as a reader, and I think about all of these distractions, I think about how I used to be able to spend all day reading a book. I could get so engrossed that I wasn't paying attention to the time or anything around me. That happens less and less now. In fact, one of my favorite things to read are books that really build environment and characters. Even I can sometimes get impatient with that, and I start reading faster and just kind of seeing the words. It's almost like just skimming. And I have to consciously remind myself not to do that. But I realize that what's happening is that we're so used to switching between information so fast that our brain wants us just to get on with it. Now, this is also something that's happening across the board. If you look at other news stories, you'll see professors talking about how their students can't read novels. They can't read for long, sustained periods of time. And they're starting to supplement, instead of assigning texts, they're assigning more and more things like podcasts and YouTube videos so that their students can pay attention. It's really crazy, and it's actually pretty scary to think about that we're losing that ability to focus. Reading really is one of those things that's really important because studies have actually shown that if you read novels, and I'm talking about fiction, not even necessarily nonfiction. Obviously, we know nonfiction is going to teach us facts, but fiction actually teaches us how to be better humans because if you are reading a novel, you are learning more from the inside of somebody else's thoughts. You're getting multiple perspectives. You're learning more about humanity. They've actually done studies where they've had people who read novels and people who don't, observing conversations where they have taken away all the sound And the people who read novels are able to interpret facial expressions and figure out sort of the mood and what's going on in the conversation much better than the people who don't read novels. So it's really this kind of social intelligence that we're learning a lot of by reading. Reading is also, in a way, kind of meditative. It's the ability to focus for something on a longer scale. And this enables your brain in the background to develop stronger connections and to sort information, think about information, and build those critical thinking skills and those creativity skills, because it's when our brain is given time that we can come up with these new ideas. By only shallow surfing stuff all the time, constantly being bombarded, we're not giving our brains that chance. So reading is one of those activities that it's very almost meditative because you're focusing for a sustained period of time. You're going to build those language skills. Yes, English may be your native language. Maybe it's not. Whatever language is native to you, if you read in that language, you're going to develop skills. You are going to be able to be more articulate. You're going to have a better vocabulary. And all of that is going to help you in life in general, just to be able to communicate your ideas with others better. Reading is also very healthy because it promotes mindfulness. You're focusing on something in the moment instead of thinking about the future or reliving the things in the past. You're focusing on the present. It also helps quiet the mind so that you're not racing thoughts. This will help you sleep better. So this goes back to me in the audiobook at night to shut my thoughts up. Just reading can train that brain to stop doing that. All right, now that we've talked about some of the benefits of reading, let's talk about how. How can you improve this? You've decided that you want to read more, but it's so hard. The best thing to do is just to start. And by doing that, you just want to have books around you. Maybe even match it to, a routine. So for example, when you wake up in the morning and you're having your coffee, instead of scrolling through your phone, pick up a book and maybe even a short story. Maybe you find real short stories and you read those. You read one of those while you're drinking your coffee in the morning. I do this thing where I get up an hour before I have to start getting ready just so that I have time to sit and stare and drink coffee. And that's a good time to read. I also have gotten into the habit of reading on my lunch breaks. So I will keep a book in my car. And then at lunch, I go to my car, eat lunch, and read. And that's actually a really good break in the day because it takes me out of the day to day and gives my brain a true rest from the busyness of work. So that's a good time. Maybe reading right before bed. That's a good routine to get into as well. I would also say when you're starting out, you're going to get distracted right away. That's okay. If you read for 5 minutes and then you start finding your brain wandering, just let it wander, pick up your phone, do something for a minute or two, and then go back to it. Then gradually increase the time that you let yourself be distracted. Over time, you're going to retrain your brain to focus. I also would suggest trying different forms of books. I like Kindle. I like paper books. I like audiobooks. And sometimes it's a good idea to have more than one. I keep 2 books going because I read one on my Kindle at night and a paper copy in the daytime when I'm not in bed. Simply, that is just because I'm old, I can't see at night. And also, I don't have to have good lighting if I have my Kindle. I can see with the Kindle's backlight, Also, the cat, trying to hold up a book and fight with a cat that's fighting for my attention. Kindle's a little bit lighter. But I also like audiobooks. Audiobooks are great. So reading in different formats, maybe you'll find a way to help you. I mean, if we're really just focusing on reading for pleasure, it should be something pleasurable to you. If you enjoy paper copy, if you enjoy audiobook, whatever it is, go with that. All right. I want you guys to share your thoughts with me in the comments. What is your favorite format to read? Where do you read and how do you incorporate reading into your daily life? Leave your thoughts below and thanks again for joining today.